Howdy, folks. I'm Brian,
I'm Amber.
and here's some Reddit. But before we begin, Mary a few while back was asking me about my red mug that I used to have tea in, and so I would do the tea occasionally with it. And lately, I've actually been just using a different mug, a much smaller mug for it. It's actually a Star Trek mug, and so the story behind that is not that I'm a Star Trek enthusiast, although I like Star Trek just fine. It's actually a very, very old mug, and it's actually got on the back here McCoy, Spock, and Kirk. So I'll post a picture of that just so you can see it. But what happens is when you fill it up with hot liquid, or it used to just make them appear, and it was kind of a cool thing. It's kind of just a memento of my grandparents. I mean, this used to be at their house, and so it's just a nice kind of memento. I enjoy it. I mean, I like the mug. All right, but that's not what the discussion is at hand. This is the discussion at hand. This mug here, and you're not going to be able to see. Maybe you will. Let's see. There's some cracks in the bottom of this mug, right? And they're little tiny microfractures. If you feel over them, they're very smooth. They don't feel like actual cracks, and it just looks like a neat little pattern in the ceramic. And so I didn't give them a second thought. And so what I started doing is I would pour some liquid into the mug, and I would just drink out of the mug. And I mean, I washed the mug regularly and whatnot. And one day I noticed I had just pulled the mug out of the dishwasher, and I filled it up with water, and it had been sitting around for a little while, and I noticed there was a sheen, almost like a greasy sheen over the top of it. And I'm like, that's weird. I thought I washed this mug, and so I went and washed it again, right? And so then a little bit later, I noticed again that there's a greasy sheen on this mug. And that's when I started putting two to two together, that the little tiny seamless cracks in here were probably absorbing stuff and leaching them out into whatever beverage I was drinking. And so I guess this is my public service announcement, is that maybe, just maybe, check your mugs or whatever you're using for things like this and just kind of be observant of it. I mean, so it's just kind of a little bit of a odd, maybe gross experience where I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna just keep the mug as a memento now and not use it anymore. So if you have a piece of favorite cookware or mug or anything like that you can't use anymore and that you have an interesting story behind, I'd be interested in hearing about it. But that's mine. So yeah, let's get started. Our first story is titled, "Am I the Jerk for Barking at My Ex? Where do I start, or how do I begin?" To be honest, it's a non-issue for me, but I thought I would share my amusement with a lot of you. Some background. Ezra, my ex, is a 40-ish-year-old male, and I'm a 36-year-old female, and we split in 2018 after maybe 6 months, in which she started to show me some red flags here and there. I ran for the hills, got over him, found my person, and am overall happy in life. That's now. Then I focused on work, him on his new girlfriend. That lasted maybe 8 months. Their breakup also started the calls. First for support, but they soon evolved into complaining sessions I wasn't in the mood for. It got so bad that I blocked him. The emails started coming, and I blocked him there too. In the meantime, I moved in with my man 2 blocks away from my best friend and within a mile of Ezra's baby's mama's place. I was on my way home from my BFF's lovely night. I'm all tipsy and hapsy, headphones in and walking and dancing through the streets, when all of a sudden a wild Ezra appears with a kid, 13-year-old, in tow. Since I didn't hear him calling me, he decided to rip one of my headphones out and started yelling this and that. Basically rubbish on how I was destroying his relationship, never met the girl, so witchcraft it is, and how I'm a huge bee. Well, I started barking and kept barking, raising the volume to match his. People were staring, but I'm just too tipsy, so I don't care. Luckily for him, a clever boy, He got quiet quickly, looked around, and left. Eureka! Something works. Since then, every time Ezra bothers me in public, I just bark at him loudly till he runs away. One of his common acquaintances is a happy gossip. Apparently Ezra is, in his own words, traumatized by my behavior. He says that I am crazy and that I'm a jerk for humiliating him in public. Am I though? Alright folks, well what do you think of this story? Do you think OP is the jerk for barking at their ex, or do you think that the barking was well deserved?
Well deserved.
Amber says well deserved. So, one of the things here is I think that OP was kind of using this as like a self-defense mechanism. Like her former boyfriend, her ex here, was, approached her in kind of a almost violent way, ripped out her earbud, her hearing aid, and started, yelling at her. And so what she do? She started barking at him. I mean, this is pretty similar to one that we had a little while ago where someone was at a gas station and they started barking at someone, and I think that that was like someone's advice for like self-defense. And in this particular case, I think that that's warranted. I mean, the guy just seems like he's overall just not a very good individual, and how he's, trying to treat OP like she owes him for at one point in time dating him, which I think is complete nonsense here. And he just needs to mind his own business and leave OP alone. And OP, I think, is, has the right to make themselves unavailable to their ex. And if this is going to work, then I think that's a perfectly fine strategy. Like, if he's so traumatized, then maybe he'll leave them alone in public from now on. That's all I have to say about that. So yeah, anyhow, take care and good luck. You are a queen. And this is from Queen Frostine 16. And OP replies, no you. I just thought it was ironic of a name. All hail the queen. Not the jerk, and now I bow down to you as leader of the pack. If only we could all be so brave. And OP replies, woof. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Return the $600 gift that I bought for my mom for Christmas? To start, I want to mention that unlike my wife, I have a very good relationship with my mom. And because my siblings can always afford pricey gifts for mom, this year I decided to gift her something nice and expensive for once on Christmas. Though I'm currently unemployed, but I work for the past few months, and my wife and I have a joint account. The problem began when my wife found out that I purchased a $600 necklace for my mom to give to her on Christmas using our joint account. She went off on me saying that I should have told her and I shouldn't have taken the money from our joint account that she uses to pay for bills and rent, and especially now that we're struggling. I asked why should I tell her since it's for both of us, but she reminded me that despite that being true, 1, I no longer work, and 2, $600 is a lot and I should have consulted her, but the reasons I didn't are 1, I feel that it's my money too, and I can make purchases using our joint account. And 2, I know that if I told my wife, she would refuse to let me buy the gift solely because she hates my mom. Solely. She yelled at me, saying that this is her hard-earned money and I threw it away and needed to return the necklace, but I refused because mom already knows about it. She responded that this is no longer our joint account since I no longer earn money, and that if I want to gift my mom something expensive, then I needed to earn the money. She insisted that I return it, but I said no, and it escalated to me calling her bitter and controlling after she pointed out that I never got her anything in that price range. She's insisting that I return it and at least get a cheaper one, but I'm done being the one who gets the least expensive / valuable gift for the family, and she's making this her hill to die on. Am I the jerk? Oh no, of course not, OP. Of course you're not the jerk. How could you possibly be the jerk in this situation? You're just only using your own money that your wife earned that she would have been using to pay the bills. I don't know. What do you folks think? The jerk or not the jerk in this situation?
The jerk.
OP, what in the world? This is okay. You when you're in a relationship and you have a shared pool of money, you make decisions. I mean, certainly there are like levels of money that are able to be spent in a relationship without consulting someone, and that varies from relationship to relationship depending on financial situations. Some people have like a $20 rule. Some people have allocated amounts that they use. You are just decided to take a huge chunk of money that your wife needed and just spent it out of the blue, and you're claiming, oh well, I worked for the past few months, so that's my money too. OP, your finances and your family come first, and you're making it seem like your wife's being a meanie and is gonna like, oh no, I don't want you to get your mom an expensive gift. I don't think that's the case. What I think is the case here is that you folks are having a hard time making ends meet, and she's worried about making ends meet. And also, maybe she is a little bit jealous. Like, here you are, trying to compete with your siblings, getting your mom an expensive necklace, when it sounds like your mom is probably doing pretty well for herself for Christmas. I mean, if all your siblings are getting her something in like the, multi-$100 range, and you need this $600 necklace to make it so that you're the one who's not being cheap anymore, it sounds like your mom is doing just fine by herself. That's my opinion here. She does not need your help to make Christmas that much happier. She would hopefully be understanding that her son, who's having financial struggles, would not necessarily splurge on her. But that's just my opinion. So yeah, OP, I think you're the jerk in this situation. I think that you need to consult your wife about certain financial things that you do. That's just courtesy and a key to a happy relationship, and consulting each other and talking to each other. Communication, maybe. So anyhow, take care and good luck. I'm gonna spend all of our money on my mom. I don't know why my wife doesn't like her. You're the jerk. Money shared is exactly that, shared. You're in a partnership. You can't just spend the money willy-nilly. And she has every right to be upset if you're using the money that you both share to buy extravagant gifts for other people without talking through it first. My rule of thumb is always, if it's more than $100, discuss it. Shared finances is not an ask for forgiveness, not permission situation. This exactly. I never spend more than $100 without consulting my wife, because of tight bills. I lowered the threshold to $20 unless it's a no necessity, food, gas, oil change. You're an employee and blew what I take home in a week? Oh yeah, you're the jerk. Oh, and mom before Christmas, so you couldn't return it? Double, you're the jerk. Doing it intentionally behind your wife's back because you didn't even need to talk to her to know that it was wrong. Are you planning on moving in with your mother? Probably should. You need a new place to sleep. Our next letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for Being Really Honest with My Manager in Front of Her Boss? So I have been a stay-at-home mom for several years. I worked very hard on our budget, shopping, meal prep, etc., and we were okay. We recently became empty nesters. The one last one moved out, pays her own bills, and got a scholarship, etc. I was bored, so I decided to take one of my many grocery store jobs available at a store across the street. My intent was to do part-time, but they quickly moved me to a different full-time position, which I do like, and I'm good at, and it pays quite a bit more. This store is short-staffed, and I've been doing my best to help out, but recently my manager sat down with me and her boss as a witness to have a, quote, documented discussion about how I am not a team player. Because I won't help out other departments even though I am struggling to get my own stuff done because my position should have been done by 3 people, but it's just me. They wanted me to sign a paper acknowledging that my behavior was unacceptable. I told my manager, you need me, I don't need you. In my previous position in management, I learned that it will cost the store an average of $10,000 to hire and train a replacement. I also know that you have walk-in interviews welcome sign outside every day, and you are all stressing about how short-staffed you are and have limited applications. So no, I won't sign this. Feel free to fire me. There are 10 stores within a mile that are also offering walk-in interviews. So no, I won't sign this. You can accept that or replace me, and I don't really care if you mark me as not eligible for rehire. I'll just leave you off my resume, and I will do just fine. And I still have the job 3 days later, and everyone is acting like nothing happened. But some people are saying that I'm a jerk because the management is also struggling because they're short-staffed. Alright folks, what do you think? Is OP the jerk or not?
Not the jerk.
So, OP's struggling, trying to get their job done, and now they're being harassed by their managers because they're not doing more as a team player. You know, maybe this is why management is short-staffed. If they're gonna sit around and harass people and try to get them to sign meaningless paperwork. Yeah, I would have a really, really hard time here faulting OP because OP didn't do anything wrong. They told the bosses what was up. They said, look, I don't need this job. I'm perfectly fine. So if you don't want me, then just fire me and I'll not come in the next day. And for some strange reason, the management didn't take them up on that offer. Maybe it's when you're in a desperate position and you have good help, and good help is hard to find. You have to readjust your attitude and not be an overlord and try to micromanage people and be like, well, you needed 13 pieces of flair, and I noticed that you're wearing exactly 13 pieces of flair, but maybe you should wear 15 instead. Kind of nonsense there. For all of you who get that reference. So yeah, I think that this is a really clear-cut case of management overstepping their bounds and just trying to do stupid, meaningless red tape stuff because that's the way they used to do it, and now they can't get away with that nonsense. So good on you, OP. Good on calling them out, and maybe they'll think twice before doing something stupid like this again. Anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk, they think they can treat you like garbage and you called their bluff. What was the reaction when you said that to all of them? That's the best part. And OP replies, they said that they needed to speak with HR and decide how they would handle this. The district manager went on his way, and the manager who called me has been super nice for the last 3 days, but I never got an update on what HR said. Probably HR is like, what are you people doing? Are you stupid? Let's hope. If you sign, then they can use it against you when they fire you, so you can't file that they did something illegal. Signing the paper is often required for them to file it. Well, that's interesting. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. And if you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.